All right, guys, let's get going. If you guys want to look at Pepe, I don't have the chart handy. If you guys want to send a link on that, and I will go over that. But yeah, I mean it's full on, meme coin season, altcoin season, and as I mentioned in the announcements, you can get wrecked really really quick with them. And you know, it's funny after I posted that, OCB. I mean, Jampers and all those guys, they're great traders, and I consider them, advanced traders. But this is a bot that's in North, so gives all of their calls, and he just talked about like, he got wrecked, messed up contract, weird sales, don't buy it, liquidity got drained, um, so he got jacked himself, right? So I mean, he's a good trader, and when people like that get wrecked, I mean, what do you think is going to happen to you, right? So just be really careful with it. Okay, here's Pepe. I'll pull this up. Be careful with, because it's really easy, like when you're on Twitter and you're in servers, and I don't know about you guys, but when I'm in a lot of my servers and a lot of alpha chats, people are going crazy about all the altcoins and meme coins and all the things out there, right? And so you just got to be really careful, and stick to your strengths. Like that was another thing I mentioned. Stick to what you're good at. If it's something new, I definitely try new things, but if you're gonna, ape into some of these plays, definitely do it with some gambling money and money you're willing to lose, because on top of these terrible contracts and rugs, you're dealing with gas as well, right? I mean, it's just off the charts. Everybody is jumping into these meme coins. It's like a few years ago all over again. When ETH was running, same thing kind of happened. Everything kind of repeats itself. So when you're swapping, at 84 Gwei, you're gonna be paying a pretty penny for these coins. And so unless you're making like a huge play, oftentimes it's not going to be worth it, just because of how high gas is. Like, I mean, if you're going to put in like under zero point 0.1 on anything, it's going to be kind of brutal. But look at, I mean, this tells the story, right? All the swap transfers, ETH transfers, so people are taking profits on ETH still. But none of this is NFTs. Let's see what the first NFT thing is. Here we go. So we're way down there. What do you think that means? People are not buying NFTs. This is the focus for the last 5 minutes. And of course, you can just switch this out. So, and what do you think that's going to do with it? Volume, right? Everything's going to be kind of down. Look at, there's nothing really trending. Oh man, this is really bad. So if you have 8 sales, you're trending number 1. And so floors are just going to continue to go down, because people are taking liquidity out and putting it into these meme coins, altcoins, Pepe, whatever it is, or maybe taking profits. ETH's kind of gotten down. Viv had a good post on ETH, so you guys can read that, and Alpha calls. It's in there. So yeah, so you can check it out. He's kind of looking for possible pullback. So look for pullbacks. If you want to buy into ETH, he thinks 1945 is a good spot. But wait to see if the spot holds the next few days. So we're kind of going to look at that and watch that. Really, what we need is, ETH to kind of stabilize. And so if it can stabilize, in the 1900 to 2000 range, or even the 2000 to 2100 range, and prove that for like a good month, and then blur bid farming is over at the end of this month, then we'll start to see some floors go again. I mean, look at Renga 0.58, right? There's so many great projects that are just struggling. Goblin Town 0.35, Moonbird's under 3. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. I mean, everything you look at is struggling. Other side, 1.2. You can look at just about anything. Helix Land's actually hanging in there, 0.09. That's good. So what does that mean for us? I mean, you just have to be really careful. Look, it looks like some whales are dumping Clone X. And there's just a massive dump going on. And so a few important things, first of all, don't panic. Like if you have a large position in something that's a really good project, don't just panic and sell for a massive loss. Yeah, see, you got some secondary too. So it's not all bids being taken on Clone X. So they must have made some sort of announcement or something. Lots of bids as well. Yep, this is what I thought was happening. So you got a whale just dumping all of his tokens. All blur bids, jeez. So you're going to see a lot of that. They want to tie up ETH to either profit out or dump it into some of these altcoins. Altcoin season, if you know what you're doing, there's definitely money to be made. I mean, a few years ago, people made millions, literally millions, and you're going to start seeing it like on YouTube, and all the YouTube, meme coiners are going to come back out of nowhere, and all the influencers, and all people are doing is pumping their bags, right? When you see people, tweet and post about whatever it is they're buying, that they're just pumping their bags. They want other people to join in so that their bags can go up. And so, again, going back to just being really careful. If you're not quite sure what you're doing, gas is really high, you can get wrecked really quick. And so I tend to be more on the conservative side and just sit on my hands during times like this. I haven't gotten into Pepe, haven't gotten into any other altcoin. And yes, of course, I could have made some bags with Pepe if I would have got in, and maybe possibly still now. But it's just like the strategy I have, right? Like I have like the strategy that I stick to regardless of all the shiny objects out there, right? I just stick to my strengths. I mean, I got into altcoins a few years ago and I made some decent money. And I got wrecked a lot too. And I remember getting wrecked pretty good on one, and I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to stick to what I'm good at. And these are, gambling on something like Pepe or anything else is a lot more riskier than, putting your money into like the S&P 500, right? Or, these stocks that are out there, or, even sticking into some stable coins and holding on to it. And, ETH and Bitcoin, ETH to me is a great spot to make some money. We talked about it all the time with, reading MACD and RSI. We talked about it, I think 2 days ago, and talking about how RSI was hot and how it's likely to go down. Let's take a look at ETH real quick. So for those of you who joined class, I'd mentioned like, hey, let's take some profits here. It's repeating itself. Last time the RSI was hot, and it's starting to head down, and you see the MACD is about to cross over. So this is kind of what like Viv is talking about. Like it may run down to that last support level and cross over and start either heading down or flattening out like it did here. Because look, it's about to cross here, then it flattens out and goes back up, right? So if you just look at these metrics closely, you're able to really time tops and time the bottoms really well. Now, when it's heading down, just like any NFT or any chart you're reading, even though it flattens out, doesn't mean it's going to go up, right? It could flatten out and head down further. Just because it flattens out at top doesn't mean it's going to go down, or it just kind of depends. And so if you use these two metrics with RSI and MACD, you're able to predict it a lot easier than you would if you're just looking at this random chart, right? I'll check in here real quick. Yeah, so Caltech, like, how do you find these? I mean, a lot of it is just, on Twitter. YouTube is big on, meme coins, all those influencers, alpha callers that specialize in altcoins. Stop loss for bakery. Yeah, so I mentioned it before that people are going to get impatient. And sure enough, we're down under 3. And so I had thought that, 0.25 is kind of like the only support level we're looking at. This is kind of where it bounced off. And so, if it dips below 0.25 and, I'd probably call a stop loss at 0.19 or so. If anybody can answer this question, I know it was asked in Alpha Chat. I'm not quite sure when the next, staggered airdrops are going to happen. So when that happens, I could see it dump all the way down to 0.25, maybe lower. And in my opinion, that's going to be good buying opportunity. And I'm not the only one thinking that too. You have a lot of people out there that are probably thinking the same things. And so I'd be watching this really, really closely today. Because I thought the airdrops are going to be done today, the second half, but correct me if I'm wrong. I am in their Discord, but I haven't totally gone into there. So we got a white, okay, looks like a mint continuum. Is continuum minting today? Yeah, it's 7 o'clock. So any project that's minting, I would be pushing it back. That's why I kind of give a date for us, between the 21st and 24th, just to see if anything slows down. But if gas is continued going to be in the 83 range, I'll probably keep pushing back our mint a little bit. Even though you have 24 hours to mint, if it goes to public, no one's going to be minting in public. So yeah, with any type of whitelist you have right now, that's why Steady Stack, I think, pushed their mint was supposed to be today. They pushed it back. So you might see a bunch of empty slots soon if it continues like this, because it's brutal. Any project that's minting right now is just absolutely brutal. Yeah, Judith. Yeah, we kind of talked about that, in the beginning, but there's opportunity to make money, but I think there's more opportunity to lose money. There's not just one way to invest your hard-earned ETH. There's many ways to invest, and so if you just kind of like look at it in simple terms, like if you have hard-earned money, you want to use that money on things that you're good at as far as investments are, right? And so if you just kind of simplify it and look at it that way. Now, on the flip side of that, it's also important to learn and try new things. And so there's nothing wrong with immersing yourself into that space and just trying to get your hands on as much education as you can on it. And if that's something that you really like and you kind of get that dopamine hit with the gambling type stuff, that we kind of get a little bit of that with NFTs too, right? So there's also nothing wrong with learning it. If you are going to do it, I would definitely, get your hands on some education and really dive in deep on it before, using your ETH on it. Yeah. You gotta be watching it 100%. Yep. Only risk what you're willing to lose 100%. Yeah, Steady Stack, they moved mint back a week, so they're probably going to give another week of pre-mints, I assume. So yeah, guys, if you guys have questions, this is almost like an open-ended recorded session. Um, a lot of it is, market related, and if you guys just joined us, it's full on altcoin season, right? So, all the liquidity in NFTs are being sucked out and thrown into these altcoins, and or ETH, Bitcoin, or just cashing out with all the recession fears and everything else that's going on globally. So yeah, you can just see here. I mean, someone's dumping their bags in Clone X, and so it's kind of easy to ask yourself, like, man, do I buy these bottoms? Like Renga, right? Like this usually plays around in the 1 ETH range. Is this something that I buy into right now and use that as a patience play and wait for it to run? My answer to that is I think everything's going to continue to bleed a little bit more. It's just headed down, right? I mean, it had a few recoveries, but they're very short-lived. And so, you really think they're going to release an announcement, like say they're partnered with the other side? There's a lot of connections to that, but maybe they make an announcement of what that's all about. You really think they're going to make that announcement today, with the gas and the way the market is? Like, definitely not, right? And so think about those things. I wouldn't really mess around with a ton of, solid project secondary plays. You got to continue just to look at the momentum plays. OPEPin tends to be, very good volume, like every day. And so you can look at some support levels here. It kind of bounced off this support level, right? And 1, 2, 3, 4, about four times it bounced off of that. So that was actually called in one of the classes we did by somebody, I forget. They just mentioned, hey, is this a good support level? Is this a good buy-in? And then it just took off and up to 0.1. So the awesome thing is in our alpha chats, I can tell just in the 2 weeks we've been around, I can tell everybody is getting a lot smarter and kind of getting on the same page of what to look for. And that's exactly what we want to do, right? This is only 2 weeks in, guys. Imagine like a year in of just consistent, education and feeding off each other and giving each other plays. Your bags are going to be a lot higher than they are, months ago. And so that's exciting to me, and that's what keeps me super motivated too. So yeah, OPEPin, you just found a support level and bought in, and boom, you're back up to 4.1, and now it's kind of retracing again. Nakamigos was called again in acid burn. Somebody mentioned this yesterday. Again, found some support levels, and they're like, hey, is this a good buy? This is a newer project, so this is different than OPEPin, right? It's newer. Jack is kind of like a Jack the Butcher for OPEPin. It's kind of figure in the space now, right? And communicates on a daily basis and just very tech driven and space driven. Man, this is like a glitch. I feel like Magically's going super slow and glitching out. So it kind of bounced off a little bit. So these could run back up, like no doubt. It's just a risk, right? We talk about that. It's just the further the chart gets right, the more riskier it gets. You got a huge supply. You could have, some whale that owns 100 of these just dump, right? And it can head down pretty quick. And so if you do get in at these support levels, you just have to watch it really closely, right? If you bought down here at 0.26, you're up 0.02. Remember that you're paying a lot of gas for these. And so one of the things we're running into is, with gas being so high, like maybe you have some NFTs you want to transfer or some things you need to do, and just gas is so high, it's find those. You can look in the blockchain native. And you can try to find those heat maps to find out when gas is, going to be a little bit lower, right? And a lot of that's going to be, at least for me, it's just really late in the day. But look at, it hits some 24. It's not many. There's none under 20. So gas isn't going under 20 anytime soon. So if you need to make some decisions on transferring or using gas and whatever it is you're doing, anything under 30 would be my target. Nothing under 20. It used to be under 20 like a few weeks ago, right, or a week ago. But anything under 30, I would jump on there, and so you can set your notifications and make all your transfers or whatever it is that you need to do then, because it's likely going to hang out in the 60 to 100 range for a while. So back to Pepe real quick. Looks like we're retracing. People are taking some profits. So it's no different, right? You got the RSI. It was really hot. And what happens when the RSI is really hot? It starts to head back down. So, when it's in decline, you're 4 stages of price movement, right? We're going down right now. So you're going to want to wait for stage 1 to possibly make another entrance. Wait until the RSI gets back down. Maybe when it gets back down to the last level it bounced off. This is where I'd be looking to buy when the RSI jumps back down in the 40 to 45 range. So if you want to get into this, this would be kind of my area where I would get in. But you have to watch it closely, guys. It dumps so fast. Yeah, and I like DEX tools too. You can kind of see the action. But yeah, swapping right now is going to cost you. Let's check in here. Sorry, Alex. Yeah, man, I've been grinding a lot, and I've been getting outside a lot too. But I'm kind of hitting both ends hard, and so sorry if I sound tired. Yeah.
Yes, bless. I just want to say that on Arabi, there are some shitcoins moving up and down, and gas is really nothing compared to L1. So if you're doing some shitcoin, maybe try to look into RB too.
Yeah, that's a good call. Absolutely. When you're in ARB, you're not paying all this ETH. So yeah, and across the board, usually when altcoins and ETH do well, across the board, everything's running. So yeah, absolutely. Good call. So yeah, if you guys have any other questions, throw them in here. We were just I'm recording this session, so if you guys came in late, you guys can listen to it. I'm going to put it up in visual learning. And I'll probably wrap this up here shortly, unless you guys have any other questions. We just basically talked about the overall market, and the main focus on NFTs is just the lack of volume. The volume has just plummeted. And so a lot of your projects are going to go down with it. We talk about momentum plays. Well, there's no momentum, right? So there's not really any plays. So you just have to try to find, I always say that, hey, there's opportunity every day to make money. And I still am a believer of that. You just have to look a little bit harder for it. And so, for me, I'm looking at, the bakery. I did an update on that. So this is the only thing I'm really looking at today. Once they release the remaining supply. And if I was them, I would not be doing it now, right? It's just, gas is really expensive. So you could see a bunch of people just panic and send all their NFTs to the floor and nobody's buying because gas is so high, and it just keeps people just panic, and it goes down, 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 right? And so with these people, the first 475, they're kind of holding the floor pretty impressively. They're not panicking because remember, these are basically free for them. I know they grinded for that whitelist, but one good thing is you're not going to get a ton of offers accepted just because of gas too. So yeah, I'm looking at bakery. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's I think this is a solid play to look at today. And if you have 0.25, 0.19, somewhere around there, that's such a great buy range in my opinion. And I love the low supply. I love, how strong the team is. And so that's something I would be looking at for sure. Goblin Town NFTs, they just migrated their contract, and so that anytime a project does that, we saw that with the plague suffered in its floor price, and so they airdropped all the new NFTs. And so that's also another potential play to look at. Not necessarily like right now, but their season 2 announcements will be coming out soon, and what that means. And once that happens, you'll likely see a pretty big pump in all those floors and the whole ecosystem. Yes. Nice. So yeah, it won't be ranked 21 once it's released, just so you know. I mean, that was one thing I mentioned in the alpha chat. I actually asked in their Discord, like, hey, are ranks going to change as the rest of the airdrops are released? And they said yes. So sorry to say, but your 21 ranked baker it's still going to be lower ranked, but it'll likely be over 100, maybe 200. It just depends. Yeah, we'll change daily. 20K in butter.
I don't know. Okay. Can I speak?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I have a question. If I own in a project like a lot of NFTs, it's not doing very well in the short term. I believe in it in long term, okay? But I need liquidity. I need Ethereum to buy in more interesting short-term flips. So because I can't afford to buy Ethereum right now, so all I can do is sell like some NFTs. So I have ETH, so I can buy in short-term plays. So, but I am afraid to sell and then lose this ETH. So it was maybe better to just hold in this long-term projects. I don't know if it's clear, my question.
Yeah, very clear. So, right now, I said, what was it, maybe for the past week or two, it's been momentum plays have been kind of like the meta. There's not really, as far as NFTs go, there's not going to be a whole lot of momentum plays. And I mentioned it too earlier that a lot of these projects will likely, delay their mint until ETH goes down, because there's not going to be a whole lot of volume when gas is this high, And so at this point of time, I would, just kind of sit on your hands more than anything and just watch it play out, because you're not missing out on anything right now, right? There's no, if you looked at my videos on momentum plays, there's nothing really to watch and look for, Literally the only play that I'm looking at right now is the bakery. That's it. I mean, everything else is, just kind of just on hold. I'm not going to try to time the bottom on all these solid projects. Everything's just going to continue to kind of go low. And then once ETH kind of stabilizes, that's really important. And as soon, if people get wrecked on all these altcoins and go back to NFTs, then we'll have some more liquidity back in the market. But right now, it's just, you're not missing out. If I was in your boat, I'd probably just sit tight, because you don't really need liquidity right now. There's nothing really to play off of, and volume is always king, right? So if you don't have any volume, then there's not really any chances to make any ETH. So that's my advice.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So we'll I mean, one of the best things is, and this is why I love to focus on education, is, man, when things are kind of slow in the NFT space, this is where we can get better, in the downtime. So it's just, there's some downtime right now. If you're into sports, it's kind of the off season, right? So, we can just work on all of our skills, work on all of our strategies, and work on becoming better traders, so that when the market turns around, because it always does. There's been so many times where markets, are full on bull run, full on bear run, right? So this is just a great chance for us to maybe sit on our hands with trading, but sharpen our tools, for trading, so that when everything's ready to go, we're ready to go. So we'll just keep pumping out content, guys. I mentioned it before. We may delay mint a little bit if gas is super high like this. Look, it's up at 116 now. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw it in chat. This is recorded, so I'm going to call it here. And I'll be around at the lake. I'll be around at the campfire and Alpha Chat all day. Thanks, guys.